The Miami Hurricanes are the odds-on favorite to win the ACC championship this year, but the squad might say otherwise.
You're talking ball with the ACC Squad. From Florida State to North Carolina, from Syracuse to Miami, and from NC State to California, it's the local experts of the Locked On Podcast Network bringing you scoops, breakdowns, and the most comprehensive preview of the upcoming ACC weekend. Hang on, it could get loud, it could get heated, and it will definitely be fun. Squad up, you're part of the ACC Squad.
Football is so close to being back, so we bring you our ACC football preview here on the Squad. This episode is brought to you by Kalshi. For a limited time, download the Kalshi app and use code LOCKEDON to get $10 when you trade $10. We'll have a bold prediction, each of us, on this episode. We'll talk about the biggest regular season matchup that could decide which teams play for that ACC championship, how many ACC teams will, or at least could, get into the college football playoff this year. But we're going to start with which two teams are going to play for the conference championship this year. I am Alex Dono from Locked On Canes, joined by Isaac Shade from Locked On Tar Heels, Jarvis Davis, Locked On Georgia Tech, Grayson Boone and Kenton Gibbs from Locked On Wolfpack, JJ Jackson from Locked On Blue Devils, the reigning ACC champion down there, I might add. But Isaac, I'll let you buy the first round on this one. Come first Saturday in December, which two teams are going to be booking their tickets to Charlotte?
I told you this earlier, Dono. Boston College and Stanford. It's clear and obvious. And
all right, gentlemen, we're done here.
So unserious right now. So unserious.
Gosh, no, it's funny. As we were preparing for this, I was thinking back to last year when I think I said that Louisville was my dark horse to take this thing. And, they did okay. They kind of let us down. Ultimately, though, Dono, I got to go with your Canes. I push back if you agree. I think this is going to be a better Miami team. I know we got to do some replacing on the ends on the defensive side with Misters Bain and Mesidor. But I got to go there, and I'm going to go back with Louisville again. I think Isaac Brown, it just makes sense to me. So give me some Miami, give me some Louisville. We'll see what happens.
I think for me, I have to go. I agree with you on that one with the Miami piece, but I think SMU might be in there because I'm real big on experience at quarterback. Kevin Jennings, I feel like you get a little shade, or people just don't think about him when you're talking about the top quarterback in this conference. So obviously you're going to talk about Darian Mensah. We understand what he was able to bring to the table. He won an ACC championship last year, so it makes sense for Miami to be in that conversation for the championship game. But I really feel like SMU kind of gets forgotten about. I know their recruiting class wasn't all that great, but I feel like that's a team that you have to consider, being that they look pretty well since they come into this conference, since they paid their way to come through their door. And I think it's a team that shouldn't be forgotten about.
At some point in time, the reality is Miami has to do it, right? Like they just have to eventually. This is the year that they finally I think this is the year that they finally get it done. Now, who they're getting it done against is the $1 million question, and I hope to provide something more than a $5 answer here. My belief in this thing is SMU does have a fantastic quarterback. The problem is he always comes up with these very, where did this injury come from type of thing. Like, this young man got hurt because somebody opened the door when he was on the other side of it. That is an actual factoid about why
I blame the door.
Here's the thing. I blame a lack of athleticism. I'm sorry.
You might have closed the message on him.
Nobody on this podcast is old enough to where if you told me I got hit by a door and I'm hurt, I'd say that makes sense, let alone an ACC starting quarterback. So I am going to have to go with Louisville simply because, at the end of the day, I think they have the most complete team. I think that, obviously the quarterback part of it is major, but Isaac Brown is who he is. You have Brom, as much as we call him a quarterback whisperer, when's the last time he missed on the receiver out of the portal? He just does it every time. Every year we're like, who are their receivers going to be? And somehow they end up with a bunch of guys who make big-time plays. Cleb Lubin and company coming off the edge. I think they're really high level there. I just think that this Louisville team has what it takes. We've seen them take Jack Plummer. to an ACC championship. We've seen Brown do that. I think he can surely do it with Keen Holmes.
Yeah, look, guys, this time last year, I wasn't saying that Duke football was going to win the ACC championship, and shame on me for doing that. I should have had faith in what Darian Mensah was going to be able to do for that Duke team, claiming the title over Virginia. Darian Mensah now plays for Miami. I think he's going to be in the exact same position, getting the opportunity to play for that ACC crown. This time last year, I actually picked Clemson over Miami to win the conference championship, and I'm tempted. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to put the same two teams in that title. Give me Miami knocking off Clemson this time. But I think Dabo bounces back this year. I like the wide receivers and TJ Moore and Wesco Jr. for Clemson. I know Vizina's a little bit of a question mark there at quarterback, but not going to pick Duke to defend their title and come out on top once again. However, I do think that Mr. Darian Mensah, and let's not forget Mr. Cooper Barkay, get the opportunity to defend that ACC title coming out on top again.
Unfortunately, I'm going to be a bit of an echo chamber myself. I think it's Miami versus the field ultimately. And I think I am pretty high on Louisville, a lot more high than I think I have been the last couple of weeks. I'm really starting to buy into this Louisville roster. They have a lot of money out there. They seem to do pretty well in the portal every offseason, and I think Jeff Brom's going to have the boys ready to go. I think SMU's interesting. I think they can certainly make it if they get some breaks in their direction. JJ, you mentioned Clemson. I think Clemson is fascinating this year because I think we're still within like the striking distance of, well, Clemson's kind of still Clemson at points of time. What are we going to get from Clemson this year? I don't quite have the answer for that right now, but I think if I had to choose today, I'm going to have to go Miami and Louisville.
Man, so I mean, you guys, my outfit probably gave it away, but I'm going to agree with all of you on the Miami side of it. And to Isaac's point about the roster, I do think Miami can be even better this year because I think Darian Mensah can elevate them. I see a young offensive line gelling together well. I think they could actually be a little bit better of a run blocking unit this year, maybe not as good of a pass blocking unit, but like the only like real big potential weakness on Miami is receiving tight ends, but they have so many wide receivers that I don't know how much of like a glaring weakness that's going to be. And for the opposition, I'm going to agree with some of you, even though Kenton made a great point about, Kevin Jennings injuring his throwing hand on a locker room door, but I'm going to still go with SMU versus Miami for two major reasons. Number one, they don't play each other in the regular season this year. So I think that's going to leave, if Kevin Jennings is listening, pardon the pun, that's going to leave the doorway open for SMU to potentially get in. The fact that Jennings is entering his third year in that offense as a starting quarterback is a luxury I'm not sure any other team in the ACC has with their starting QB. And SMU's offensive line is excellent. So I think on paper, like Grayson said, it's kind of Miami versus the field. Now, as a Miami guy, I know on paper there have been a number of years Miami should have gotten to the ACC championship game and didn't. But I think this is the year, and I think SMU to me is probably the safest pick to get there as opposition. And we're going to be talking more about this throughout this episode of The Squad because we will be making ACC championship predictions. But when we come back, we'll talk about the ACC's prospects to get into the college football playoff because they only got one team in last year. Miami barely snuck in as an at-large last season. Could the ACC get two? Could we be greedy enough to even entertain the idea of three? You want to keep it locked right here because we are only getting started on this ACC season preview episode of The Squad. I love the fact that we have Kalshi with us on the Locked On Podcast Network because, yes, there is a market on Kalshi for the ACC championship this year. Folks, Kalshi is one of the best things that's ever happened to markets and to sports. I'm having so much fun on this app, my friends, because before the season even kicks off, everybody's making predictions. Who wins the division? Who makes the playoffs? Who's lifting that trophy at season's end? Well, on Kalshi, America's #1 prediction platform, you can trade those predictions in a live market. So I'm looking at the market right now for the ACC championship. Miami at 57%, SMU at 12%, Louisville at 8%. So pretty much in line with our picks. Clemson at 7%. If you really want to get aggressive in your market and go with JJ's Duke Blue Devils, a $100 trade could net you over $9,000 for your max payout. So you want to check all of this out, folks, on Kalshi. And what really makes Kalshi special, my friends, is that you're trading against peers in a live market, meaning there's no house. And as the probability changes, you can buy in and out of your position, trade the draft pick, the game, and more on Kalshi. Download the Kalshi app and use code LOCKEDON to get $10 when you trade $10. Kalshi, Kalshi. Trade on anything. 18 plus only. Restrictions and eligibility requirements apply. Event contract trading involves risk and may not be suitable for all investors. Kalshi products are not available in all jurisdictions. Prices, values, and available markets may differ from those mentioned. For more information, see kalshi.com/regulatory. Thank you so much for making this episode of the Locked On ACC Squad your first listen as we preview the upcoming football season. Alex Dono from Locked On Canes, Isaac Shade from Locked On Tar Heels, Grayson Boone and Kenton Gibbs from Locked On Wolfpack, Jarvis Davis from Locked On Georgia Tech, JJ Jackson from Locked On Blue Devils. All right, so JJ, I'll let you buy the first round on this one. So 2 years now of the 12-team CFP. The first year, the ACC did get in a pair with Clemson and SMU, neither of which went very far. Last year just won with Miami getting in. The ACC champs didn't get in last year. So what are you thinking for this year, JJ? How many teams could realistically get into the college football playoff from this much maligned ACC this year?
That's why you guys wanted me to go first, right? So that I would have to remember the fact that as an ACC champion, Duke did not get the opportunity to go to the college football
JJ,
playoff.
I call that motivation, sir. It's motivation for the segment.
They made the playoffs last year, JJ?
Yeah, Jarvis, I thought you win the championship within your conference. We take a lot of pride in the ACC. Surely you get the chance. But look, all jokes aside, I think that this will be two teams possibly making it to that college football playoff. Miami's destined to be in a spot like that. And then I think the ACC is going to do enough this year and play well enough down the stretch with more of these conference games, big-time showdowns, and non-conference play for a lot of these teams, that whether it be a Clemson or an SMU or a Louisville, whoever is there on the outside looking in beyond Miami at the top, I think they've got a right to be there. I want to be greedy and say 3, but I just think there are way too many other outstanding teams in the sport that don't play in the ACC that I don't feel comfortable going there. But never forget, Duke football won the ACC, did not make the college football playoff, fellas.
I will say this. There's a certain school down south, not in Florida, in the state of Georgia. We ain't talk about that school of 316. Talk about this school right here on the flats down here in Atlanta. They got 2 SEC schools on their schedule. And you know how much love, how much benefit of the doubt that SEC opponents get,
No doubt.
So if they were to mess around and figure out a way to go 2-0 in those games, we know that it's going to be at least 2 teams from the ACC in there, because they're going to get the benefit of the doubt with those SEC teams being on their schedule. And if you, like you said, if you beat that school up the road, I promise you, Tech will be one of those two for sure.
I tell you what, Jarvis, if the Yellow Jackets managed to go 2-2 in those 2 games, that would be the wildest thing these eyes have ever seen.
I sound too confident when I fumble through that, right?
But you know what? I'm sorry to tell you, Jarvis, you're wrong. You're dead wrong. And I hate it for you. I hate it for you. I hate it for Louisville. I hate it for Georgia Tech. I hate it for all the ACC. We're only going to get 2 teams in, and they're already setting the groundwork for the play. Did y'all not see the AP poll come out? The groundwork is already laid. Coach Drink, everybody knows I'm a Coach Drink stan. Death, taxes, me lusting after Megan Thee Stallion in Missouri at 25. 4 things you can count on in life. Those are 4 things,
bro. You might got a chance.
I heard that Clay been bad to her. I'm here for you, Meg. I'm here for you, Miss Pete. We can talk about stuff. That's neither here nor there. The reality is 9 teams from the SEC were ranked. Why am I just talking about the SEC right now? Bama got in despite a loss to a Florida State team that did not piss a drop in the ACC. That Florida State team is so bad, Dono almost mistakenly in the first segment said Florida State was going to be in the ACC championship as a troll.
Yeah.
He almost said it. He was this close to say it. And
it would have been cruelty. Like that's the reason why Brian Smith isn't with us tonight, because he knew I was going to go there.
FSU got 3 first-place votes in the preseason ACC media poll. So let's.
But you get my point. When the
doing?
ACC beats a team, it's an accident. It doesn't matter. It just happened. Even if Louisville finds a way to beat Ole Miss and Kentucky, people are still going to say, well, it's just Kentucky. Well, Ole Miss ain't about much since Lane Kiffin left. Even if Georgia Tech finds a way to do it, well, we're not sure about Gunnar Stockton. We've never been sure about him. Listen, I would like to believe you, Jarvis. I would like to believe you. But the reality of this thing is simple. It's always going to be an excuse when it comes to the beloved boys of the SEC. They're just special little boys and girls, and all of their wins means that they're so much better than us, and all their losses means it's a good loss because they wouldn't have lost that game. They didn't have to play the 5 hypothetical games leading up to that game. So really they played 6 games, but they won 5 because the 5 hypotheticals, which means that the loss really evens out. I'm telling you right now, the ACC is going to get 2. But they're going to keep getting 2 until we get our propagandists on the air, on ESPN, talking spicy about the SEC like Feinbaum is willing to do about us. Okay? They ain't been to a national championship in 3 years. Dono was there with that terrible-looking Cane shirt on in Hard Rock
Beautiful
Stadium.
shirt. What are we doing here?
It's a terrible shirt, Dono. We love you, but it's a terrible shirt. He was there in Hard Rock Stadium watching his boys play. What SEC team could say I was there watching my boys play in 2026, in 2025, in 2024? Who could say it? And yet it just means more still with 9 damn teams ranked.
Clemson.
Nice dad shirt, Dono. I'm with you, man. It's a nice dad
Thank
shirt.
you, Jarvis.
Clemson.
Jarvis has some fashion sense.
Yes.
For the first time since 2011, the Clemson Tigers are not ranked in the AP Top 25 preseason. As I sit here looking at their schedule, they go to LSU to start the season, preseason number 11. If they could pull off that win, they host Miami, and outside of that, there's a very winnable schedule sitting in front of these Clemson Tigers. And I feel like because Dabo won't take any transfers ever, and everybody's but it's like Clemson has been one of the teams in the ACC because of being so great for the past decade and a half that I feel like they're the one team that might get a little bit of the benefit of the doubt from the ACC here and there. And maybe y'all push back on that. And if so, fine. But that's a team.
They do play a team on November 14th that I feel.
Yeah, I know. And that's what I'm saying. Like, it's not written in stone, obviously.
Solid team.
But it feels like a manageable schedule if Clemson's got any sort of life figured out in them. And so that's a team outside of, I feel like the majority of us talked about Miami, SMU, Louisville as the 3 potentials. I'm just saying I could see a world if Clemson could do something in Baton Rouge on September 5th, where there might be a world where they're sliding in.
Here's the deal. I think the only is a very specific way that the ACC gets 3. Miami has to beat Notre Dame, but they have to lose the ACC championship game. Not only does Miami have to beat Notre Dame but lose the conference championship game, one of the ACC teams that's playing 2 SEC teams has to not just win. They got to dominate one of those games. They got to dominate one, win the other, and then you could possibly maybe find us with 3. Oh, and the champion needs to have at least 10 wins. At least.
Yes.
Yeah.
At least. You cannot be a 9-win champion. You cannot be an 8-win champion. All respect to Duke. You damn sure can't have 7 walking in and walk out as a champion and think we going to get you there. It has to be a 10-win team. Miami has to be a loser that is in on a at-large bid, and we need another team that has whooped the wheels off of one of those bubble teams from the SEC where it's like, well, damn, we kind of can't put LSU in over them since they done beat the hell out of LSU in one of the earlier parts of the season.
And that's the problem, is to get a third team, like that team in that scenario won't have been in the ACC championship game, which means they've lost enough games along the way to not be in that game, which means they're not going to get the benefit of the doubt, which means we're not going to get 3 teams, which means we're only going to get 2 teams.
I mean, I hear you. But again, if you dominate that last game, and if South Carolina has a pulse, if Beamer ain't fired, if he ain't pretending to be a head coach for Halloween like Mike Norvell will be very shortly coming up here, you have a chance where you dominate the hell out of them and you beat LSU, you're going to get that benefit of the doubt. You're going to get, even if Clemson does not end up in the ACC championship because they have multiple games they fumbled, like you said, Isaac, they're the team that will get the benefit of the doubt. Again, the path is not wide. It is a very narrow, very, very narrow straight that we got to toe. But if you can make it happen, we just need Dono's boys to throw a few games. You know what I mean? Miami's been known to do that under Cristobal. Just find one to lose here and there. So we just need it. We need that to happen as well.
KG, you know what's funny about what you just said? Clemson plays at Florida State on Halloween. Let's go.
Ooh, that could get spooky.
Things get spooky every day in October. You know,
Ashton Daniels takes down. Oh gosh. Oof.
Well, the other thing, like one of the reasons why the ACC gets so spooky is, Jim Phillips, the commish, like he wants to own Friday nights. Like that's the big thing, the Friday night initiative. And on those short weeks, night games, like weird stuff happens, fellas. I mean, Florida State losing to Virginia, Miami losing to Louisville was on a Friday night. Expect the unexpected. But, Grayson, have you made your pick yet?
I have not, but I'm basically an echo chamber yet again. This feels like a situation where if you're looking at CFP, it's probably going to be Miami and then somebody else. I mean, using Isaac's math and Kenton's hypotheticals, I don't see a world where you can get 3 in from the ACC, but 2, it feels the most likely. But to be honest, I wouldn't be shocked if it's just 1 again. It might just
wish
be
that
Miami.
evil on us, Ricky Bobby. Don't you?
I'm not trying to, but I wouldn't be shocked to say the absolute least. I mean,
Grayson, what about the flip of that? Is there a world where we nearly don't get anybody in like last year almost happened?
Can't do that anymore. The conference champ is guaranteed.
That's right. Yep, you're right.
Yeah.
No, I don't see that actually. No, if it's going to be 1, I would presumably say Miami, and if it's going to be 2, it's going to be Miami and somebody.
Yeah, I mean, I'll echo Grayson's sentiments. I think it would take, what do they call an act of God? Force majeure to get more than 2 teams into the CFP. I do, and I also agree, and I hate to put this out there, that I feel like there's almost the same chance of getting 1 in as there are 2. I lean to 2, though, because I think the mid-fest that was the ACC last year, like statistically, it would just be so hard to duplicate that, where you had like a 5-way tie of teams tied for second in the conference, and the team that was first in the conference was a Virginia team that punched way above their weight, and everybody knew, including the committee, that that was not a real viable playoff team. So I just think the odds of having as mediocre of a season throughout, like, don't get me wrong, there's going to be some mediocre and some bad teams in the ACC. I just think it's going to be top-heavy enough this year that you're probably going to get 2 teams in. So I think I'm with Grayson on that one. We're going to make one. Go ahead.
As much as we talk about Virginia and what they were not last year, that is a Virginia team that if New Year's Six Bowls were still a thing, they would have beat the SEC team in a New Year's Six Bowl last year. So I'm just saying they might have punched above their weight class, but damn it, they punched all the way. Every punch they had in that bag, they got it off before they ended their season. So I'm just saying, 11 wins. I think that's worthy of a conversation.
Yeah. Well, and the other point that you made, Kenton, with the deck is always stacked against the ACC, and I guess you could say against the Big 12 as well, because the SEC, I mean, they play 9 conference games now. Mizzou might go 0-9 in the SEC, but they'll be ranked number 25 the entire season.
Yeah.
So everyone could stack up those ranked wins. I mean, they did it with Tennessee last year as well. Tennessee's ranked 21. The Big Ten is very top heavy with great teams. So it's just going to be tough, I think, for the ACC to get more than 2 in there. But we'll each have a bold prediction when we come back. Plus, want to talk about the matchup, the most pivotal regular season matchup in the ACC that could decide how that conference championship Saturday plays out. You want to keep it locked right here. We're not done yet on this preseason Locked On ACC Squad. Thank you for making the Locked On ACC Squad your first listen. Guys, I'll buy the first round on this one because when I look through regular season conference matchups, I keep coming back to the same one that I think is going to be the most decisive when it comes to who's going to play in the ACC championship game. I guess the only question I would have about this one is it's so early in the season, but the conference games in September count the same as the ones in November, right? So I look at SMU versus Louisville. That's going to be in Louisville, Kentucky, Saturday, September 19th. My birthday, by the way, at 3:30 p.m., so I'll definitely be tuned into that one because, yeah, I keep toggling back and forth. I gave SMU the slight edge to be the second-place team in the ACC. Louisville's right there for me, so I kind of look at that game as a conference championship eliminator type, and Miami does not play either of those teams in the regular season this year. So I'm looking September 19th. Louisville hosting SMU to me as the most pivotal regular season game. Grayson, I'll let so you're not always having to go last. I'll let you buy the next round on this one.
I tell you what, Clemson might not be Clemson, but I do think Death Valley is still Death Valley. And if Miami has to go to Death Valley and play Clemson in week 5, might that be a spot where Miami could slip up and not get the job done? Who knows? I wouldn't put it past that crowd to amp it up a couple notches for a top 10 team, presumably, to come into town. I think that's a really big one. And I mean, if we're going to stick with Miami, I think Pittsburgh at Miami in week 8 is also pretty fascinating. I think Pitt is a weird team. They always have like a weird win, basically year in and year out. That one wouldn't shock me either if Miami lays an egg at home and the Pitt Panthers catch them.
For me, I have to look at, going up against the month of November because, they bring up some kind of, bad memories from last year. And I think that first matchup in the month of November against Louisville, I think that's going to be a big one too, because if Louisville figures out a way to, come in there with only one loss in the conference, and we know how important those games are in the month of November, I feel like Tech would have a big opportunity to kind of change the landscape, for themselves or, for Louisville as well.
I'm glad I'm not the first guy to introduce homerism into this conversation. Thank you so very much, Jarvis. Here's the deal. Didn't I tell y'all it gets spooky in October? We talking some Halloween ball, Cal, NC State. That game could have two teams that are either dark horses or one team looking to upset the apple cart against a team that is a dark horse in that football game. And I'm telling you, strange things happen. Strange things happen. It's looking like that's going to be a Friday night game. Grayson, is that going to be homecoming?
That is homecoming for NC State.
If you see me at that game, you didn't see me. I was not there. I was not there. That was not a red cup in my hand. But that game could be pivotal to the ACC picture overall because, again, those are two teams I think are – it would not shock me to see either team right in the thick of it going down the stretch.
I want to go back to a game we talked about earlier because – Dono stole my SMU at Louisville game, and then Grayson stole my Clemson game, and so I'm down to my third tier pick. And it's funny, earlier it was mentioned the Miami at Notre Dame game, and I want to mention that game and the SMU at Notre Dame game. And hear me, I know that Notre Dame in football is not an ACC school, but in terms, like the question here is the games that determine the basically the fate of the ACC. I think those two games are going to help us unpack how many teams we ultimately get into the playoff. I think like for SMU at Notre Dame on Saturday, November 21st, then they got to go out to Stanford the next week. Those back-to-back games leading into a potential ACC championship game, like that's huge for the Mustangs going cross country to see what they can do. So I think those two Notre Dame games, hosting SMU and then hosting Miami in November, those games are huge in my opinion.
Let me go in another direction. And Isaac, I did check. Unfortunately, Boston College does not have Stanford on the schedule this year, so we're not going to be able to see those two teams.
That's a pity.
Stanford does
Class of the Titans were missing.
Stanford did get a number one vote in the preseason ACC poll, so there's that.
I love it. Well, let me go with a bit of a homer angle, but one that I think is going to have a lot of eyeballs, and it's a game in November in which Duke goes to Miami, and they take on Darian Mensah and the Hurricanes.
And that's Miami's homecoming, by the way.
I love that. The reason I bring that up is, this was the first time truly in college athletics that we saw a lawsuit play out between a school and a player when the transfer portal cycle was coming to a close. That's crazy. And now we're in a sport where he's going to be able to play against a former school that he reached a settlement with. And it's just one big indicator of where we currently stand in college athletics. Like, yes, the on-the-field results toward ACC championships probably not going to be impacted as much by that, but the greater picture in college athletics as a whole, I'm so excited for all angles of that matchup there.
I'm glad you shouted that one out because I avoided the homer pick, but some of the other of you guys gave me some material, so I appreciate that. Now, I got to ask Kenton this one because this question is built for Kenton Gibbs. KG, can you give me a bold ACC prediction for the season coming up?
I got a bold prediction that includes not one, but two ACC teams. If Virginia proves that it was not a flash in the pan and they are sustainably built to last, if they get double-digit wins, I want to make this very clear. If they get double-digit wins, 10 or more, Dabo Swinney will be refired from Clemson, and Tony Elliott is going to take his spot.
Whoa! I see the connection. I see where your thought process
is. If
Virginia
Virginia gets 10, as sure as the sun rises on the east and sets on the west, it's going to be the old Jim Boeheim situation of I'm not retiring. I'm here. I like coaching. I still want to coach, but they're going to go with the guy who has done it. Imagine winning double-digit games 2 years straight at UVA. They're giving away free tickets, by the way. They're giving away 2-for-1 specials. Grayson, am I lying?
No, they couldn't pay people to sell out Scott Stadium in week 0. It's wild.
They are giving away free tickets after an 11-win season. Would Georgia Tech have to do that?
No.
Would UNC have to do that?
No.
Miami.
Jokes aside, because people will make them. No.
Exactly. Duke is a little bit different of a situation, JJ.
The Wallace Wade Wackos, man.
It's a little. I'll say this. It's a little different situation. But in all seriousness, I think that if you're looking at a situation that could impact, it's a small rock in the pond that can have major waves. I don't think Clemson keeps Dabo around if UVA gets double digits and Dabo doesn't end up in the ACC championship.
Can I ride Kenton's coattails? Because my bold prediction was going to be that Clemson goes 5-7 and doesn't make a bowl game.
Morgan, get your mans. Come back to the show, Morgan.
Oh, my gosh. And my bold prediction, this is purely a coincidence. Tech is going to spank the dog mess in Death Valley of Clemson November 14th. It's going down. Dabo He's going to be on his last leg at November 14th against the Georgia Tech Yellow Jacket. Man, something's going
to happen. We have put the death nail in Clemson.
Bold predictions are not supposed to happen. It's supposed to be wild and wacky and out there. So here we are.
Tyler from Spartanburg is pleased. He's very pleased. We got your back,
He's the reason
Tyler.
they stopped taking calls on the coaches show.
Exactly. We got your back, Tyler.
It's time for Dabo to pay up, man. Refusing to doggone acknowledge the transfer portal and complaining every single way he possibly can when it comes to these players getting paid, man. It's time, man. Everybody else is adjusting. The ones who didn't want to adjust, they quit. Nick Saban, the best ever to do it. He got up out of here. He said, I'm cool with that. So, yeah, man, it's time. It's time for Dabo to get the hell up out of here because this is I'm tired of hearing it. Man. So, yeah, there we go.
Forgive all the Duke talk out of me, fellas. I got to enjoy this as reigning ACC champs, right? I got to hold on to this as much as possible. Not as bold.
You hold on to this better than you held on to Mensah.
Tough, but true. Very true. Wow.
From the guy who hosts Locked On Canes. That was tough.
Nate Shepard.
He was legally obliged to leave.
Nate Shepard leads the conference in rushing yards. It is a crying shame he's not on the preseason Doak Walker watch list. What are we doing? Is it because Mensah's not there? I mean, this is clearly a team that's going to hand the football off to 20, a freshman All-American, over 1,100 yards a year ago. It's going to be Shepard for Duke football this season. I think he's incredible. And I'm backing my guy for sure.
I actually had one bold take, but if we're going to stick on the topic of Clemson, I'm going to cheat and have two bold takes. My Clemson take is that they lose week 1 at LSU, and then they win 11 straight, and they go to the CFP.
Ooh, that's all right. That's bold.
Spicy. Okay, my actual hot take was Isaac Brown is going to win the Doak Walker. I don't think people are talking enough about Isaac Brown at Louisville. His speed, his pure speed is not something that grows on trees, and you really don't see it that often. His speed reminds me of like DeAnthony Thomas of Oregon way back when. That was like 2012. It is unnatural type of speed. And I think if they feed Isaac Brown the way that they should have last year, I think he's going to take home the Doak Walker.
Yeah, I'll stick on Isaac Brown.
I don't think Lincoln Kinehol's going to do anything to get them to the ACC championship.
Feed one.
Yeah, that's right. Well, and sticking on that, because I will shout out Isaac Brown and a couple of others, because my bold prediction for the first time since 2016, so this would be breaking a decade-long drought, the ACC is going to have the Heisman Trophy winner. Because I think, and Isaac Brown, I think can get in that mix. Now, I will, because I've been easing on the homer takes until now, because I think Darian Mensah is going to have a very real shot. Now, I guess there could be a scenario where like Malachi Toney could take a little of his shine away being in the same offense. But I feel that if Mensah has a great start to the year, I think Miami would put their like promotional engine behind Mensah for Heisman the way that they did for Cam Ward a couple of years ago. Obviously not to the ultimate success, but they did get him to they helped him get to the Heisman ceremony. So I think Mensah can be in play. I think Isaac Brown can be in play. I know it's more of a quarterback heavy award, but Brown's yards per carry and just his freakish ability. If Louisville has a good season, I think, and the last ACC Heisman winner was a Louisville Cardinal, Lamar Jackson, 10 years ago. Yeah. And I'm not sleeping on Kevin Jennings either. I think if SMU has the type of season I think they can have, I think Kevin Jennings can be in that mix as well.
In the words of hey, JKS would be a shocker if he ends up being that wild card and that team ends up doing it.
You got to feed the Calgorithm.
We do, but in the words, we gotta get Kevin Jennings healthy. And in the words of Baby Joker, no more locked doors. Gracias. He cannot have no more locked doors around Kevin Jennings, and he'll be just fine.
Yeah, well, all right, so we got some bold predictions. Dabo Sweeney is very fired up and motivated if he's been watching this episode. So a huge shout out and thank you to all the shows represented here and even the ones who aren't. We're excited for ACC football this year, so make sure you check Isaac out on Locked On Tar Heels, Jarvis on Locked On Georgia Tech, Kenton and Grayson on Locked On Wolfpack, JJ on Locked On Blue Devils. Check me out on Locked On Canes. Football is almost here, my friends, from week 0 all the way to the Natty. Hopefully the ACC gets a team in the Natty. We'll be talking ball with you on the ACC Squad right here on the #1 sports podcast network. We are celebrating 10 years of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.